The Buddha once said, "He who sits alone, lies down alone, walks alone, in diligent practice, and alone tames himself, should find delight in living in the forest." Living alone, being alone, can be scary for many people these days. Oftenly, our society portrays a successful life, a happier life, a good life, as a life where it is surrounded by people, surrounded by things. But there's a reason why almost all the spiritual practices, almost all the spiritual pathways praise and promote this living alone, life in the place of a solitude practice, a solitude life. And that is why almost all the religious leaders had to solitude themselves from these hassles and bustles of this society and go to these quiet places and find the liberation and find what they were looking for. Same went with the Supreme Buddha. Before he became the Buddha, he was a prince. He was living in a palace. He was indulging himself with this sensual pleasure. And then he understood, indulging in this sensual pleasure doesn't help me to find what I'm looking for. So what he did was he left the palace and he went from one forest to another, meditating, finding this peace, this ultimate peace, right? So living alone can be a blessing. It is a blessing when it is converted to a blessing, right? But living alone can be a curse as well for many people. That is why people, most of the time, they are scary. They're afraid of living alone, right? Most of the time, people come to me and say, I'm lonely. I'm living alone. I'm living by myself. But I feel so much lonely, so much negative thoughts coming into my mind. What should I do? That is what happens when you turn this loneliness into a curse. Trust me, it all depends on how you think and how you use this time. I will tell you a story. Prince Siddhartha, the Buddha, left the palace and he went to a forest. Although he went to a forest, there were 5 monks who was waiting for him to come to the forest. There were 5 monks who were helping Prince Siddhartha, the Buddha, with the meditation before his awakening. And then these 5 monks had this idea that only way to find the liberation is by giving this tortures and doing these hard meditations and harsh meditations and extreme meditations. So we call it Atta Kilamatthana Yoga, which we can translate into English as self-mortification, right? Now, Prince Siddhartha left one extreme when he left the palace. That extreme is, the Buddha described this as the extreme of sensual pleasures, indulging in the sensual pleasures. That was one extreme. And then Prince Siddhartha came to the other extreme where he practiced this self-mortification, giving these extreme and harsh meditations to the body. And then those 5 monks, they believed that this is the only way for the liberation. So Prince Siddhartha was practicing these meditations for 6 years. And finally he understood this extreme, being in this extreme, doesn't help me either. So then he found the middle path, the middle way. And that is to live a spiritual life by balancing his material and spiritual life both, right? And that is why after that decision, he decided to take some food to his body. After a long time he had taken some food to his body, he grabbed his alms bowl and went on begging alms and find some food and had it. Now all those 5 monks had a lot of expectations on Prince Siddhartha. And then they saw this incident. And then they became disappointed. They said, "Oh, what a disappointment. We believed him. We had a lot of expectations on him. But look what now happened. He's taking food. Maybe soon he will go back to his palace and he will live a normal life again. So the best decision is to take is to leave him. So what happened? All these 5 monks left Prince Siddhartha. And after this alms round, he came back to the forest, and he saw everyone had left. No one was there. Prince Siddhartha was alone. Then he found this perfect environment, perfect place to be focused more into himself. That was because he was all alone. Right? He got the opportunity to be by himself. Right? Focus more into himself. And one day, he sat under the Bodhi tree and he became awakened. He became enlightened. Right? So this solitude, when it is turned to, when it is used in the correct way, it can be a blessing for you. Right? And the same solitude can be turned into a curse as well. Right? Most of the people, they complain me about the loneliness. I always say to them, when you're lonely, your thought process generates a certain energy within you. Right? And that can be negative. Now let's say you are in this negative energy environment and a negative energy thought process. You all know in science we learn about, according to science, it says that energy cannot be produced or destroyed. Now you have your energy within you, but it is negative, right? Now you can't destroy this negative energy, right? What we are trying in this whole life is to destroy this negative energy. Well, we can't do that. The only thing that we can do is to convert this negative energy, drive this negative energy to something positive, right? So how can we drive this loneliness, this energy to something positive? One of the biggest reasons why people feel lonely is because they lack an aim, a goal to their life. If they have a goal and aim that they should work on, if they have a system that they should work on, then they don't feel that much lonely because they have something to do. They have something to engage with it. Right? So this can go either, people can have either material goals or spiritual goals, but everyone must have these spiritual goals within themselves, no matter what life they are coming from, right? Because finally, there will be a time in all of our lives that we come to this lonely place. One day we have to be by ourselves with no one else around us. Right? At that time, if we don't have any quality, any spiritual quality that we have practiced within us, we'll start feeling lonely again and again. And it will start to build up this negative energy within us. Okay? And sometimes we can be too late for that, to make it correct. So the best thing is to learn how to convert this negative energy to something positive, right? To do that, you have to have a goal and an aim for yourself, to yourself. Always ask from yourself, what should I do in my life? Who should I become in my life? What should I build up? What qualities should I work on in my life? If you found, we will always find some qualities that we should work on, right? Some mistakes that we have, some weaknesses within us. If we can work on those weaknesses and make it correct, that time will help you to be more successful, more productive, right? More happy and a more peaceful person. But to do that, what do you need? You need time, right? You need time to be focused on yourself. And what gives you the best time to be focused on yourself is the time when you are all alone. Right? And that is why I always say for people, have a time during the day only for yourself, a separate time. Probably you can people call it me time. Okay, that's a good thing. Having a me time for yourself during the day is essential. Okay, so I would say as a practical thing, apply it to your life. That is to have a separate, at least 15 minutes. It's okay. No matter how much you spend the time, but if it is for yourself, that is helpful, right? At least spend a 15 minutes of time, right? Sitting down, being by yourself, all alone, right? Not with your mobile phones, not with your Netflix account, not with your movies or anything. Just be by yourself, right? And then learn how to be with your own thoughts, right? Then only we can be more focused to ourselves, right? So I hope you got some idea about how to convert this loneliness into the solitude. So apply this little practice to your life and enjoy the solitude in your life. Namo Buddhaya. One day, a wild bull was walking down a street, and he saw this beautiful paddy field. And the bull was thinking, wow, what a beautiful paddy field. I need to eat some paddy. So what he did was, he jumped to the paddy field and started eating paddy. But there was this farmer who was so mindful watching the paddy field, and he saw the bull was eating paddy. So what the farmer did, he ran across the paddy field and grabbed the bull from its horns and wrapped the muzzle around the horns and gave a huge blow to the bull. What happened to the bull? The bull was confused. So the bull ran away. But the nature of the bull is that he forgets everything very quickly. And the next day, what happened? The bull was walking down the same street and saw the paddy field, jumped to the paddy field and started eating paddy again. But there was this mindful farmer who was watching the paddy field. He gave a sound beating on that day as well. So this happened for a little while. But there came one day that the bull was thinking, okay, today I don't want to jump into the paddy field. Why? Because I always get beaten up by this guy. So on that day, the bull didn't jump to the paddy field. On that day, the bull was very disciplined when he was near the paddy field. He went and he passed the paddy field without jumping towards it. So the Buddha used this wonderful story and metaphor to give us a beautiful message. The Buddha says, this is the nature of our mind. It's like a wild bull. Forgets everything, runs towards these evil thoughts, and it has no discipline. So the Buddha says how we should discipline, like that mindful farmer. We have to be mindful and watch our thoughts and take control over it. How to take control over our thoughts? So Buddha give us a beautiful way to do that. The Buddha says, whenever your mind runs towards these evil thoughts, what you have to think? You have to think the downside of all these evil thoughts. For an example, if you have hatred in your mind, you have to think, this is not good for myself. This is not good for my physical health. This is not good for my mental health. And this is not good for me as well as others. My hate is not good for me and as well as others. In that way, by considering the downside and the danger of your thoughts, you can stay away from evil thoughts, and also you can discipline your thoughts. But to do every kind of these things, any of these things, we have to have one beautiful quality, and that is the mindfulness. So the Buddha says, watch your mind like a farmer who's watching the paddy field, right? So without mindfulness, we cannot do any kind of these things. We cannot discipline our mind. We cannot take our mind from unwholesomeness to wholesomeness. So we need to have this beautiful quality of mindfulness. And also we need to consider the danger of our thoughts, because one thought can create a beautiful world, and just one thought can destroy this whole world. That is the power of our mind. So understand that the nature of all of our minds are like a wild bull. So many people complain when they start meditating. They say, oh, my mind is not disciplined. It's always busy. It's running here and there. I'm very scattered brained. Well, at the beginning, we all are like that. When we start meditation, our minds start to run here and there. Only when we start meditating, we realize that how busy our minds are, how scattered our minds are. So what we have to do, whenever our mind gets distracted or disturbed or running into these kind of evil thoughts, we have to kindly bring it back to the wholesomeness. You may have to do this again and again. You may have to do it for years, but there will be a day, definitely, there will be a day that your mind becomes disciplined, but only if you keep doing this, right? It's all about the little steps that you take to discipline your mind every single day. And every practice adds up to your life. That is the wonder of this beautiful Buddhist path. Every practice that Buddha teaches us adds up, and it always helps to us. So, I know, and we all know, that it is not easy to discipline our mind. But even though it is difficult, it is not easy, it is painful, we have to do it again and again, keep doing it until that beautiful day comes, that we gain a beautiful, disciplined mind. So keep practicing disciplining our mind and be happy. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome and welcome back to another video. Couple of weeks ago, we posted this video right here about self-love. Let's take a look at it first. Remember, the more you love yourself, the more selfless you become. Do not confuse self-love with selfishness. Namo Buddhaya. So, a lot of you have been asking in the comment section, what is the difference between self-love and selfishness? So from today's video, we're going to be discussing about how to differentiate the self-love from selfishness. Now, to understand about this, first we need to understand what is selfishness. Now, selfishness always born from the unsatisfied nature of our mind. That means we are not satisfied with ourselves, and we are not satisfied with other people. So what happens? We try to fill this unsatisfaction, fill this gap in our mind to satisfy ourselves. So what we do? We make expectations towards ourselves and towards others. And when the people around us and even ourselves are not meeting these expectations of even ourselves, what happens to us? We try to pursue and we try to chase behind these expectations and filling these expectations even more and more. And these things, these chasings go beyond the limits. So what happens? A person becomes more selfish, only thinking about his own happiness, his own pleasure, and his own advantage. He doesn't start to think about the other people's happiness. So this is selfishness. So we need to understand that selfishness is always born from unsatisfied nature of our mind. But in the other hand, self-love is always born from compassion, understanding, and acceptance. Now, when you understand who you are, and when you accept who you are, then you become more compassionate towards yourself. Then you know who you are and what you can do. Starting from that, you start to develop yourself more and more. You give a good time to heal, you give a good time to develop your inner qualities, and you become more patient toward yourself. And also, when you develop the patience, you become more patient towards other people. You all know that not every person around you can live up to 100% expectations of yourself. So we need to understand that. When you understand this, the nature of yourself and the nature of other people, then you become more compassionate. And then you become more selfless. You become more generous because you know how it feels like to go through sufferings. You also know how it feels like to go through painful periods in time. So when you do that, when you develop that patience and compassion, you become more self-loving person. Okay, so that is why we need to understand that self-love is always born from compassion, understanding, and acceptance. We don't deny who we are. We don't try to reject who we are. We become more understanding and more accepting towards ourselves. When we become more accepting towards ourselves, we become more content with who we are and become happy with who we are. And one of the greatest qualities that we develop through this is the gratitude. We become thankful for what we have in our life. We don't say that, oh, everyone needs to fulfill my expectations and I'm not going to commit anything for you. You need to fulfill all of my expectations. Those emotions won't happen when you become more self-loving person. So understand the difference between the self-love and selfishness. The Buddha said, if you love yourself, you have to guard your mind from evil things, evil thoughts like jealousy, hatred, aversion, and envy. When you guard your mind from these unwholesome thoughts, you protect yourself. And that is self-love. When you protect yourself, you protect others as well. So keep this little beautiful advice from the Buddha in your mind and be happy. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. In the past, there was an acrobat who was doing stunts on a bamboo pole, and he had a student. One day, this acrobat called to his student and said, "Dear students, let's do stunts on bamboo poles and let's make a good living out of it." Now, but one thing that you have to remember, that when I'm doing the stunts, you have to protect me. And when you're doing the stunts, I'm going to protect you. In this way, we can protect both of ourselves and we can make a good living out of it. Then the student said, "No, sir, it's not the way to do. The correct way to do is that when you're doing the stunts, you have to protect yourself. And when I'm going to do the stunts, I will protect myself. In that way, we both protect ourselves and we can make a good living out of it." Now the Buddha used this metaphor and this story to give us a beautiful message. The Buddha says, protect yourself from unwholesome actions, unwholesome thoughts, and unwholesome speeches. When you protect yourself as well as the others. Now Buddha explains how to protect oneself. The Buddha says, practice mindfulness to protect yourself. When you practice mindfulness, you become more mindful about your actions, your thoughts, and your words. When you become more mindful about your thoughts and actions, then you can take control of your life. When your life is under your control, you protect yourself. And also, when you protect yourself, you protect others as well. And also in the same way, the Buddha says, protect yourself by practicing loving kindness, compassion, and humbleness. When you practice these qualities, you protect yourself from hatred, ego, and jealousy. When you protect yourself from these kind of unwholesome thoughts, you protect yourself and also you protect other people as well. The Buddha says that no one can save us but ourselves. So we need to take control of our thoughts, of our actions, and of our words. So when we do that, we take care of ourselves and we protect ourselves. By protecting ourselves, we give the protection to this whole world. So keep this beautiful advice from the Buddha in your mind and be happy. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome and welcome back to another video. From today's video, we are going to answer one of the most frequently asked questions in Buddhism. Can we change our karma? Or can we change our past karma? Can we do anything about it? Now, to understand about this, first we need to understand what karma is. Now, in almost all the Indian religions, there are a lot of teachings about karma. Karma is a bigger teaching in almost all the Indian religions. In Hinduism, in Jainism, in Buddhism, there are a lot of teachings about karma. But the Buddhist approach of karma, or the Buddhist way of definition of karma, is slightly different than the other Indian religions, right? So this is how Buddha defined the karma. The Buddha says, Chetanahang bhikkhave kamang vadami. Monks, I say, intention is the karma. So when it comes to these statements from the Buddha means is that karma, the action, is more of a mind-related thing. That is why the Buddha says intention is karma. So intentions are generated in our mind. So what Buddha saw is that it is not just the action, it is the intention behind the action what defines the karma. So this is the Buddhist definition of karma. Now we'll come to the question. What is it? Can we change the karma? Right? Now, first of all, we need to correct the question and then answer it. Why? Because karma, what people mean by asking, can we change karma, is that, can I change what I have done in the past, and can I change the consequences of those karma? Okay? So first we need to understand that karma, or this intention, is generated right now, right here. Right? The karma is not something that is past. Karma is something that you do right now, this present moment. Right? So this present moment, the karma can be changed. Why? Because it is always your choice. The choice is a karma. Your choice is totally under your control. Some people think that, okay, our choices and our experiences are not totally under our control. The choices that we make are predetermined, or due to the past karma, we make choices right now. But Buddha did not agree to this idea. What Buddha says is, yes, your life is affected by the past karma, but it is not the only thing that your life is affected. But you can change your karma by making good choices, by taking the right action. That is why Buddha praised a lot about the taking right action. So understand that karma happens right now, and that means the karma is totally under your control. But what people ask is that, can I change the karma? No. First you need to correct the question, can we change the consequences of our karma? Which means vipaka. Now, with the package of karma, there comes another word which is not much famous, and that is vipaka. Vipaka means the consequences of karma. So basically what karma is, the cause and effect phenomena. That means we make causes for something and there will be an effect because of that cause. We do some actions and then we get consequences of those actions. So this is the basic understanding of karma. So can we change vipaka? It is not totally under our control. We don't know what we have done in the past. So the only thing that we can do is just to go through those experiences. Now, it is also important to remember that our life is not totally dependent on karma. Karma is only one thing that our life is affected. Okay? So let's say you're going through a consequence of your past karma. So can you do anything about that? You can't do it, because only thing that you can do is you have to face that experience. But you can change how you react to that experience, right? Whether it is good or bad, you can take right action, right choice, right now, right here, to face that in a good way. So if we take the right action and right choice right here, then we can stop the karma repeating again and again. Right? Let's say you're going through a bad experience due to a past karma, and if you react the same way, right? If you fall down, if you become angry, if you spread hate because of that pain and suffering, then you create some more suffering karma to go through some bad experiences in the future. But if you take right action and if you become wise and patient and mindful, then you can stop the karma from repeating. So in that way, you take control of your choices. So understand, basically, there is very few space for us to take control of what we have done in the past and the consequences of them, but we totally have the control that we make the choice right now, right here. So keep this beautiful advice from the Buddha in your heart and be happy. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to another video. From today's video, I want to introduce you to another simple practice of mindfulness. Now, in an earlier video, we talked about the practice of mindfulness in breathing meditation, how to do it, when to apply it, and how to apply it. And in that video, we talked about that if you're especially focusing on mindfulness in breathing, to do that, you have to come to a seated position to practice it, to be focused in it. But in this practice that I'm going to introduce to you today, you don't need to come to a seated, specifically, you don't need to come to a seated position. You can practice this while walking, while sitting down, while lying down, and also while standing, in all four postures, right? So this is a very simple yet practical practice of mindfulness that you can add to your daily life. So what is this practice? This practice is called Iriyapatha. That is the word that was given by the Buddha for this practice. So the Iriyapatha, the word Iriyapatha can be simply translated into English as mindfulness in all four postures. What is it? Mindfulness in all four postures, right? So let's take a look at how Buddha defines this Iriyapatha meditation. The Buddha says, again, bhikkhus, when walking, a bhikkhu understands, I am walking. When standing, he understands, I am standing. When sitting, he understands, I am sitting. When lying down, he understands, I am lying down. Or he understands accordingly, however his body is disposed. Now, this is the definition that was given by the Buddha for this meditation, how to do it. What the Buddha teaches about this meditation, the Buddha says, Buddha refers to the bhikkhus. Bhikkhus are the monks, right? But this can be applied to everyone's life. The Buddha says, again, bhikkhus, when walking, a bhikkhu understands that I am walking. Now, what Buddha teaches us is that when you're walking, understand that you're walking. And then the Buddha says, when standing, he understands that I am standing. When you're standing, simply understand that you're standing. When sitting down, we have to understand you're sitting down. And while lying down, you have to understand while lying down. And then collectively, the Buddha says that in whichever the position that you're in whichever the posture that you're in, you have to understand accordingly. Now, in this explanation, Buddha refers specially to a word called understand. Now, what is the meaning of understand? How can we understand the word understand? This is the general explanation, and this is how we understand the word understand. In this explanation, what Buddha refers to as understand is that simply be aware of current posture, right? If you take a close look at how your body is placed right now, right? Right now, you may be listening to this video or listening to this audio while walking. So that means you have to understand, okay, now I am walking. And then maybe you're sitting down and listening to this video, right? Then what you have to do? You have to simply be aware of your current posture. I am sitting, right? Or maybe you're lying down on the bed and listening to this video. Then you have to understand that I am lying down, right? Or maybe you're listening to this audio while waiting for the bus, standing, right? What do you have to do? Simply be aware of the posture. But then, again, how to do it? So I introduced, in an earlier video also, I introduced you to a simple question that you can ask from yourself to be a little bit aware of yourself or practice mindfulness. What is it? You can ask from yourself, what am I doing right now? What is the question? What am I doing right now? Just ask that question from yourself right now. Then you can answer it. What am I doing right now? You can, if you become aware of your posture, then you can say, okay, I'm sitting down, right? Then you can be aware of the feelings that helps you to understand the sitting posture, right? Let's say the feelings of your buttocks, then you can feel it, right? That is how we understand that our posture. And then the feelings of your hand, the feelings of your back, right? How the body is placed. You simply be aware of it, right? So when you do that, you bring your mind that was wandering in the past or in the future simply to this present moment, right? Right now, this posture is happening. The feelings that is generated through this posture is happening right now. So all we got to do is to be aware of these feelings, right? So you can do this any time during the day, right? Let's say you're traveling by the bus, right? You're commuting by the bus to your workplace. Most of the time when people are in the bus, either they listen to something or listen to a song, or maybe they scroll in the social media. That's what they do, right? Or maybe talk with someone. But that is one of the best times that you can practice this mindfulness practice. What you can do is just close your eyes and simply be aware of the current posture. That is all you got to do, right? So this is how we practice this. Now, someone can ask a question like, is it related to mindfulness? Yes, it is. Why not? Mindfulness is all about bringing your mind from the past or the future to this present moment, this current situation, and to be more focused inwardly, right? In your inner world. So that this is a one part of practice of mindfulness. So this is called Iriyapatha meditation. Okay. Now the section that I taught you is the very first step of Iriyapatha. There are another few steps that you have to practice while doing this, but this is the very first step that we have to master. So whenever you're free, right, find a time during the day to practice this. Right? For an example, let's say you came home after working, you came home. What do you have to do? Just make a cup of tea and sit down on a chair, and then have the cup of tea and simply be aware of the posture. Ask from yourself, what am I doing right now? Right? What feelings that I'm experiencing? Right? What is the posture that I'm right now? When you do that, it is a simple practice of mindfulness. The more you do it, the more you will get used to it. And then the more your mind will be at the present moment. So add this little simple practice of mindfulness to your daily life and practice it. So I wish you all, may you be healthy, happy, and free from all the sufferings. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. The other day when I was doing a speech, there came a question from the audience. The question said, no matter how much I planned the new year, I failed to achieve these goals at the end. What is the reason? And turns out this is a problem for many people, right? We all plan the new year, we all plan in the beginning, but we fail at the end. What is the problem? The reason for this problem is we are trying to do more. But in reality, what makes your dreams come true, what helps you to achieve the goals in your life is not by doing more. It is by doing less. But it is a little bit contradictory to the society, the idea of the society, no? Because the society will say to you that do more and then you will achieve more. But in reality, to achieve more, you should not do more. You have to do less. Now, what do I mean by doing less? Doing less means doing something that is important. Removing all the unnecessary, unimportant things in your life and doing what is important. Giving the priority to what is important, what matters the most. Right? And also, if you give this priority to what is important to you, right? If you ask the question, what is important to me in my life? What should I build up? What qualities should I build up in my life to make my life a success? Now you focus on that quality, the important task, important goal, and you keep doing it, right? The reason why we fail to achieve the important things in life, because our important goals, our main goals, our crucial goals are covered with these unimportant things, unimportant achievements in life, which does not help us in the long run. Okay? And also there's another problem, and that is we have lots of expectations. That means too much expectations. It is okay to have expectations, right? It is okay to have dreams, it is okay to have goals, but it is not okay to have too much expectations. Why? Because sometimes when we have too much expectations, our expectations and our reality have a big gap. It has a big gap, right? So when we fail to achieve these expectations, what happens to our mind is we become discouraged because we are not getting what we expected. And then what happens? We suffer. We hate ourselves. We blame ourselves. The more we blame, the more we hate ourselves, the less we try to achieve things, because we label ourselves, okay, I can't do these things. I'm not someone who is courageous. I'm not someone who is brave to do these things, right? No matter how much I try, I fail. That is the nature of mine. The more you label that, the more you give that name to yourself, I am a failure, I can't do these things, what happens? The more you can't do those things, right? So the most important thing is to have moderate expectations. It is not to have, I'm not saying that you should not have expectations. Yes, you should have, right? And also you should not have too much expectations, right? You have to find that sweet spot. You have to have that moderate expectations. I will do my best. This is one advice that was given to me when I started preaching and giving speeches. One of my brother elder monks, he said to me, when you step into the stage, don't think that you're going to ace the speech and you're going to earn a standing ovation from the audience. Don't think that. Don't think about it. And also, don't walk into the stage without lack of confidence, right? You have to have a confidence that is moderate, right? You have to have a confidence that is moderate where you think yourself, I will do my best, right? I come to this stage, I step into this stage to share something valuable from the Buddha's teachings, and I will do my best to share it. It is when you have that moderate expectations, what happens? Although you fail at some points, right? You know that you will fail. You have accepted that, yes, you are imperfect. You will fail in life, right? And that failure, the pain from that failure is less painful than when we have the high expectations. So the most important thing is to have moderate expectations. And one of the most important qualities that we need to have in our mind to achieve the goals and the dreams in our life is to focus on little changes in life, not the big changes. Most of the time people ask, like, how can I change my life in a bigger way? How can I make big changes in my life? To make big changes in your life, start from making little changes. That is what helps you that is what makes you the bigger changes in life, right? For an example, like, let's say you're in a stressful condition, right? You're stressed and you're worried about things, and you feel like you're going through like a dark hole. What can you do? You try to solve the problem, right? You try to solve the bigger problem. But the reason for that bigger problem is not always the immediate reason. The reason for a big problem is not always the immediate reason. It is a series of problems, series of changes that had happened throughout our life, and it made that big change, big problem. So what do you have to do? Go into the roots of the problem. What made it change? What went wrong? And when you find that smallest mistake that made it wrong, you have to correct that. You have to make that correct and work upward, right? Let's say you feel a little bit stressed or anxious, or you feel the negative energy around you. What can you do to stop this? First, stand up, and then you can clean your surrounding, right? By cleaning the surrounding, it adds some sort of a positive energy around you. And after that, you can meditate a little bit. Clean yourself, clean your body a little bit, clean your clothes, right? Clean your surroundings. That positive energy will make a little bit of positive change in your life. And that positive change will lead you to make big changes, big positive changes in life, right? So one of the most important things is to focus on little changes, right? That is why in Dhammapada, the Buddha says, by degrees, little by little, from moment to moment, a wise man removes his own impurities, as a smith removes dross of silver or gold. Now, when a silversmith or a goldsmith, when he cleans the silver or like a block of silver or gold, he or she can't do it easily, right? It takes a big time, right? It takes a huge time to clean this block of gold, right? In the same way, little by little, you have to improve little by little, right? So that is why I found this wonderful quote that I read recently. It says, learn a little bit, apply a little bit, improve a little bit every single day. Isn't that wonderful? Learn a little bit, apply a little bit, improve a little bit every single day. That is what we have to do. So I invite all of you to learn a little bit and apply a little bit and improve a little bit and change a little bit in this new year. So I wish you all, may all of you be happy and healthy. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. In almost every religion, faith plays a greater role. But is it the same in Buddhism? So from this video, I want to show you the role of faith in Buddhism. Let's find out. So the Google definition of the word faith is shown like this. Faith, strong belief in the doctrines of a religion based on spiritual conviction rather than proof. Now, one might think, oh, Buddhism is not a religion, it is a philosophy. So there is no faith involved in it. But the truth is, yes, there is a role of faith in Buddhism. And in fact, it is one of the most important virtues that a practitioner must possess while practicing Buddhism. But the faith in Buddhism is fundamentally different from the official definition of this word. Now, the word that is given for the faith in Buddhism is called saddha in Pali language or shraddha in Sanskrit language. Now, take a look at how Buddha defines shraddha. The Buddha says, and what bhikkhus is the power of faith, or saddha. Here, a noble disciple is endowed with faith. He places faith in the enlightenment of the Tathagata. Now, note that Tathagata is a word that was used to call the Buddha. The Blessed One is an arahant, perfectly enlightened, accomplished in true knowledge and conduct, fortunate, knower of the world, unsurpassed, trainer of persons to be tamed, teacher of devas and humans, the enlightened one, the Blessed One. This is called the power of faith. Now, this is the definition of saddha or shraddha or confidence or faith in Buddhism. So it is about placing one's trust upon the enlightenment and the realization of the Buddha. And it is to say, yes, the Buddha developed his mind and found the path of liberation from suffering. But what Buddha teaches us that is that you should not get stuck in mere blind faith. What Buddha teaches us that your faith must go beyond the blind faith and should be an experiential faith. The blind faith is in Buddhism is called amulika shraddha. Amolika, the word amolika gives the meaning of rootless. There is no root. That means there is no root for your faith. You mere blindly believing in something. That is called amolika saddha. And the faith that is praised by the Buddha is called akaravati shraddha. Akaravati shraddha is a confidence that is based upon practice and self-exploration and realization. Now, when it comes to faith, people believe in things in 5 ways. The Buddha teaches us that the people believe or people have saddha upon something in 5 ways. What are these 5 ways? The first one is called saddha. That means just mere believing. Sometimes people believe just because they are born into that idea, born into the families that hold that idea or that religion. So that is mere believing. That is called saddha. And the second one is called ruchi. Ruchi means people believe in things because they like it, right? Sometimes you like certain ideas, so you just believe it. Second one is called anusava. Anusava is that you believe in something just because someone said it so. And the fourth one is akara parivitaka. It means logical thinking. People believe in things because it is logical. They don't put it into practice, but as it is, just because it is logical, they believe in it. And also the fifth one is called dittini jhanakanti. People believe in things or ideas because those ideas correlate with their point of views, their personal views. So what Buddha teaches us that is that your faith, your confidence, your shraddha must go beyond these 5. That means you should put it into practice, you should experience it, you should explore it and have the confidence upon it. It is something like this. Let's say you and I are in the darkness, a darker place, right? But you and I are far away. Now, right in front of me, there is, let's assume there is a statue right in front of me, right? But I can't see it, you can't see it, because we are in the darkness. All of a sudden, a lightning occurs, right? A lightning occurs and the whole area lights up. And within this split second, I get the chance to see the statue. But after this split second, we are totally immersed in the darkness. But now you didn't see the statue, you were far away, but I saw the statue. Let's say you're coming near me and I say to you that there is a statue in front of me, right? In front of us, there is a statue. It is like this, it is like that. Now, how I believe and how I hold the view about the statue is because I experienced it. I saw it, right? And how the other person believe in that idea is because the other person said it so, right? If you believe in that person, then you will believe it, right? So in the same way, the Buddhist faith must be an experiential, a practical experience that you experience through practice, putting it into practice. And that is how the Buddha defines Shraddha. So we need to understand that faith in Buddhism should be developed through practice and understanding and realization. Just take a look at this verse from the Buddha. The Buddha says to the Kasi Bharadwaja, the Buddha says, faith is the seed, austerity is the rain, wisdom is my yoke and plow, moral shame is the pole, mind the yoke strap, mindfulness my plowshare and God. Now Buddha similarized this faith to a seed. It's like planting a seed on a ground. Now the faith is the seed, but what makes the ground a better ground for the seed to be planted is the austerity, the practice that we do, the wisdom, the moral shame, mind, and mindfulness. All of these are the virtues, the qualities that make the ground for a better confidence, better faith. So faith must be put into practice. Faith should be developed through practice, right? So understand that Buddhist idea about faith is more of an experiential faith, right? And it is more of a practical faith, that you are allowed to ask questions, right? You are allowed to remove your doubts. You are allowed to explore. And also, you should believe in something by putting those ideas into practice and realizing it. Not just because that someone said it so, or not just because that you like that idea. So what Buddha teaches us, that if someone gives you an idea, that you need to thoroughly put it into wise reflection and meditate on it, find it, explore it, and understand. And then only you should believe in it. So, therefore, understand that faith in Buddhism goes beyond mere believing to the experiential confidence. So, I hope you got some light on the topic of faith in Buddhism. So, I invite all of you to practice this path, learn the Buddha's teachings, practice mindfulness, and most importantly, let your heart guide you to the truths deeply resonates. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. A couple of days ago, when I was reading the Dhammapada, I came across this wonderful verse from the Buddha. This is from Dhammapada, verse number 290. The Buddha says, "If by renouncing a lesser happiness, one may realize a greater happiness, let the wise man renounce the lesser, having regard for the greater." Now, this simply says, if you seek a greater happiness in your life, you need to be brave enough to let go of the lesser or the cheaper happinesses in life. Now, this made me thinking this can be applied to any area of our life. Whether you are a student who is studying to achieve a greater happiness or a greater achievement in your education life, there are certain things that keeps you away from that achieving it. Sometimes those things can be some pleasurable things, like watching movies, like scrolling on social media. But when it comes to it, like superficially, when we look at it, in the beginning, it's very enjoyable. It has its own entertainment. But the problem is it takes the valuable time from us. It steals the valuable time from us so that we waste time for a cheaper happiness. And what we miss is a greater happiness in the future that is yet to come. So the Buddha says, if you seek a greater happiness in life, you need to be brave enough to let go of the cheaper happinesses that keeps you away from achieving that greater happiness. Now, this is applicable for the monk's life as well. This is why we become monks, right? As monks, we saw that we need to seek a greater happiness in life, because as humans, what we seek in life is always happiness. But for a monk, he thinks that I need to achieve something greater than the normal happiness, right? A peace that is beyond from the normal peace in the world that we talk about. But to do that, we realize that it is not possible, or it is really, really difficult to be with the other cheaper happinesses in life, so that we need to let go of them to seek something greater. And that is what even the Buddha did, right? So many people complain that why Gautama, the Siddhartha Gautama, let go of the lay life or the material life. Why did he ran away from the life so that he become a monk? It's not about that he ran away from the responsibilities. It's about he understood that one cannot achieve the greater liberation in life or the greater peace in life, which is nirvana, by staying in this household life. So that he let go of that household life and became a monk. And he started to seek the spiritual path. And he found the nirvana and he found the liberation. And also, he didn't stop from that. He came back to the palace and he helped everyone who was in the palace in his life to achieve the same state of peace. So that if one seeks a greater happiness in life, right, we need to be brave enough to let go of that cheaper happinesses that we are being busy and that steals our time in our life, right? Sometimes it can be a toxic habit that you have, right? For an example, in a toxic habit, it is really, really easy and it is really, really enjoyable in the beginning, but it makes your life so much difficult after. And that is why they say that if you do what is easy today, your life will be difficult tomorrow. And if you do what is difficult today, your life will be easy tomorrow. And that is how the world works, right? For a toxic habit, it is very easy to do, but it makes our life so much difficult. But for a good habit, it is really, really difficult to practice, and it is really, really difficult to make it a habit, but it makes our life so much easier after. Okay, it can be applied to any area of your life. Like, let's talk about the spiritual life. Okay, usually when we become monks, it was really difficult to be disciplined, right? Once you become a monk, you have, first of all, you become a novice monk, and you have 10 disciplines to practice, right? And after staying as a novice monk, you become a higher ordained monk, and then you get, suddenly your precepts and your disciplines reach up to 227 disciplines. And it was really, really difficult to be disciplined. But once you learn, once you practice, once you dedicate your time and energy to be disciplined, it makes your life so much easier. And after some time, you realize that all these disciplines are made for your life to make it easier and make it so much free and make your life so much independent. Okay, so that is why we should believe that we should attain the freedom through discipline, right? Through hard work. So now take a look at your life. What are the things that keeps you away from achieving the greater achievements in your life or greater happinesses in your life? And be brave enough to say no to them, right? When you say no to them, it buys you so much more time that you can focus on what really, really matters. So keep this little advice in your mind, and let's meet with another video. Namo Buddhaya.